give some people time to join on here. Just doing this video for fun. I'm not really doing this video for a topic or a purpose or an intention. I'm not planning on putting this video on my YouTube channel. So this is just gonna be for fun, for experiment. I mainly want to talk to the people who are gonna be on here live and see if I can get any questions from people and just kind of bounce what I'm saying off of everyone that's gonna be joining here. This is just a fun late night conversation, and I called it Deep Late Night Reflections of Self. During late times of the night is when a lot of people like to explore their minds or think of things that they normally don't during the day and things that we put off or prolong. So the name of this video is Who Am I and Why Knowledge is Power. And I want to start the video off by explaining who you are in my ideal sense, as far as why knowledge is power. Knowledge is power for the simple fact, and you can look at this in a small pair of lenses or a greater pair of lenses. And the smallest pair of lenses you can use to view knowledge being power is you push someone in the water and they don't know how to swim. The simple knowledge of knowing how to swim or what to do would have saved their life. So that's the small lens of why knowledge is power. But when you want to go into the deeper end of things, more complex, why knowledge is power because who you think you are exists in a very intelligently layered mask, which you are putting off and prolonging your own self. And you fall in love with the mirror image because you are trying to convince yourself this is what you are or who you are, rather than seeing beyond the surface. People want to think that this is who they are by simply dipping their finger in the water, and you're just touching the surface level. And what we do not realize is who we are exists in an intelligently layered mask or layers of illusions. And by you starting to uncover or attack some people's illusions, they can become very hostile toward the speaker, which is peeling back their illusion. Some people are not ready, and some people are ready. Some people are looking for the answer, and some people aren't. And the actual answer is there is no answer. But the people beginning their journey have this idea that there is a final answer where everything becomes clear. And in my opinion, this is the final answer you await, is who are you doesn't exist. And this is what scares some people. You are not the temporary and borrowed vessel that comes to life between birthing and death, because after death the vessel returns to what it was, which was earth, a part of its physical structure. You're coming from your very external creation. And there is only one intelligence driving all creation, and this is what I'm trying to tell people. The singularity revealing itself is the intelligence behind all creation revealing itself through the simple forms it is taking on. And I mean this through all forms. So man has been created from something. It does not matter what. What matters is it is the same intelligence which man is using to create artificial intelligence. This one singular intelligence of self-awareness, of consciousness, it is what is driving all creation, is what created the human being, or the human condition, I should say, because we've come to life in this body and we've automatically assumed the role of a human being. And this is not ever what we were. We have taken on this identity, taken on this role by studying society, hearing the word human repeated, and when you see your own species calling themselves human, eventually you fall for the human condition, and you live under the condition of, I am merely just a human. And there you fall for the illusion of women are just birthing out humans. this is not the case. Women have been called stargates from one dimension to this one because they have an actual black hole inside of them. What you see in outer space is a reflection of the internal body, and it's stretched inside out, so you are viewing and experiencing the inside of yourself which you could never possibly see. And that's why you cannot see your own face, because everything that is housed inside of you is projected here. So by you studying outer space and looking into black holes, you're literally studying your body, the way your body functions. And this is why I say, the woman has a black hole inside of her. That little void of which drives all creation, which begins all creation, because all creation begins from that point, and the woman's belly button is that point. Is the womb which births and creates this form and then pushes it or drives it out. And black holes are the wombs to all creation. It is the force or the divergent force which pushes all life out. And scientists were under the impression that black holes destroyed life, but just recently Harvard scientists are now looking into studying black holes from a different angle. Now they're saying that black holes may create life. And to me, this is the very case. We're coming out of blackness, out of nothingness, out of void, and we're growing into a form. Well, the woman's womb is that very void. From micro to macro, it matches the creation outside of us. So knowledge is power because you are choosing to hide from yourself behind these perfectly layers of illusions and these definitions which we're using as masks. And that's what I want to explain, is some people think that they're here as an alien having a human experience. Some people think they're here having a spiritual awakening through a human. Some people think they're angels having a human experience. Some people think they're God having a human experience. All these words that you are using are not separate from one another. The only thing, and this is why knowledge is power, the only thing separating you, or the words, is what you choose to identify with and hold on to and cling on to. So you can very easily say, God is this word, and a human is this word. And you're only identifying with one, which is what makes your identity come to life. You're saying, I am choosing this side because I have studied society, I have seen what we call ourselves, and I'm going to live under the human condition. So, just as all of these people are human, I am human too. And I can't possibly be God or an angel or anything else. So we fall for the human condition. But then as the human slowly starts to progress in its self-awareness and become more aware, we develop these new words, and we begin changing what we are. So we're not human now, we're spirits, or we're the soul. Spirit and soul are definitions which you are choosing to identify with, or as. And it's the same with any and every word we're choosing. And it's not to be confused. We can have an understanding of what we mean when we say the word God. But even the word God is a mask that we are choosing to hide behind. What we're calling God actually has no name. The name is determined by us coming to life in the vessel and manifesting this singular energy into a form and into a name. So that's why I say, although we can be familiar with the names and the definitions we're giving, we have to understand them beyond the temporary mask. Because that's what these words are. They're distractions or masks that we are taking on and then basically, essentially, hiding from ourselves. And as I've said, including what we call God. And I'm not saying that God does not exist. God does not exist in the sense of biblical and human depictions. There is an energy or a life force which is keeping you going. How else could you be here and now? There is a creation and a life force driving all things, but it is not a person, excuse me, it is not a name, it is not a definition, it is not a mask. It is the very life force allowing you to develop a name, an identity, and everything to come alive in, to discover yourself in as the ego, as what you call the lower self. But eventually, as you become more self-aware, you will make it to the higher mind of what you think you are not. And you will realize that the only thing separating these definitions or these words, which are masks, is you and your level of self-awareness. So, someone who thinks they're a human could never identify with themselves as God or as that higher mind. You have to become more self-aware than the boundary you are creating for yourself. And if you don't even know that there is a boundary that you are hitting, then you can never make it past that. You can never transcend your current understanding of self. So you will always be the human being, because you've fallen for the human condition, you've fallen for the trick that you are just a human. You will always be a human being trying to understand infinity, which can never be done, because a human is not infinite. And it's very apparent in our nature. We live, we die, we go nowhere, right? And that's because we're not human. The vessel is borrowed. It's not what you are. But this is where I say we live through masks and illusions. So people choose to basically prolong themselves and fall in love with the mirror image. And by doing so, they make death this much harder on themselves, because you can fall so in love with this and never want to part ways, never want to say goodbye, never want to accept this is not what I am. And some people's idea is that's demonic, that's satanic. A loving God would not have me come alive in this just to kill it off and say this is not what you were. Some people think that's evil, that's a trick. But you have to have an understanding of what you're calling God beyond form before you can judge the creation. You have to understand why there is an on and an off, a life and a death, a you and a me. Once you understand this fully, you will see you never want to be in one place forever. Whether it's earthbound, heaven-bound, or 5D, whatever you want to call it, the highest plane or dimension you can think of. You wouldn't even want to be stuck in there forever, because that's just what you are. When you're in one place forever, you are stuck and you are trapped. By having a death or an off principle, you allow yourself a chance to let go, which is achieved through nature, basically, because it's like our higher self already knew. If we had a choice to let go or not let go, we would never want to let go. And not only that, we'd have to kill our own selves, which is not supposed to happen. It's divinely planned that there is an off, there is an on, there is an off, there is an on. And that's the purpose for this. It's the same thing when you have a bad day. You get home and you say, well, damn, I'm glad that day's over. I'm glad it's ended. It's the same thing with coming to life in one vessel. You do not want to be in one place forever. You do not want to be one vessel forever. Eventually you will say, I'm ready for a new experience. If you were absolutely stuck in one place forever, that is a prison. To be in one place forever is a prison, even if it was heaven, even if it was all happy, even if it was all magical, even if it was all love. Eventually, that madness, that insanity behind everyone smiling in love would be just that. It would be insanity. You would want to escape. You would want to hit your head on a wall. You would want to get out. So through having death, we have the option of letting go. Or not really the option, because it's beyond our control, but we have the choice of letting go. And like I said, it's not really our choice. It's a matter of how well you accept it and choose to either cling on to the identity and the ego and say, no, this is what I am, or you can let go and discover yourself, actually discover yourself over here. Because by you holding on to this, you're holding on to the body, which is the temporary vessel you are meant to part ways with. And I've said this before, this is why we are born to lose everything we love. Because once you let go of everything you love, you will find it all over again. And this is the comfort in death. Things are not merely gone forever. It is all you, it is all a part of you, but you have to let it go in order to realize this. By you clinging. But that's the thing. The masses will never all be on one side or the other, because the moment you have everyone knowing their God, the game is off balance. And I've said this to someone else. Someone asked me, is it possible to have a world just of love, just of peace, just of this, just of that? So you just want one half of the good, but you do not realize this is so intelligently designed that there has to be one and the other. They are not separate. They are in relation to another. So she's saying, is there a way we can only have love, only have peace? Well, what is love? You only know love in relation to hate. What is peace? You can only have peace in relation to war. So as long as we are knowing peace, there will always be a war going on in relation. As long as we know love, there will always be hate in relation. You can never have all one side, all good. As long as you are experiencing good, there will always be a bad principle in relation. And this is how you choose what your reality. Do I want to look this way or this way? Do I want to perceive it from this lens or this lens? We are choosing. And this is why it's such a cop-out when people say, he made me do this, she made me do this, because no one can make you do anything. It is our emotional triggers which allow us, give us our little permission to slip up and fall for the illusions. But everyone in this earth will never be on the same page. It's impossible, because as I said, if you have one understanding, you will always have the other in effect, because to know this side, you have to have something in relation. And it's vice versa. To know this side, you have to have the opposite. So it's the same with the science and religion communities. The people in science think they have their answer. They have it. And the people in religion are laughing at them while they laugh at them, and they're both thinking they have the better upper hand. Yet they're both trying to uncover the same root, the same source, and they don't even realize they're both a part of the same brain. It's just a split brain, dual, two. Again, you have opposites. To know one, you have to have the other. So you have to live through opposites. Where you have science, you have religion. Where you have religion, you have science. Fact and faith. And here's another thing I want to talk about. And I don't mind being laughed at, because nobody seems to want to talk about these things, so I don't mind being the page and the platform. For people who are open-minded enough and ready to hear, I don't mind being the laughing stock. But imagine this. I live in the United States. You live in United Kingdom, Australia, wherever you live. You may even live in the United States, whatever. I asked my friend this the other day, and it kind of tripped him out. Well, who's to say you're even where they've said you are, where anyone has said you are? We're just appearing in places in space, or positions in space, and appearing separate, but we don't know for a fact or with a certainty that this is where we are. And yes, we can map out the land and give it any name we want, but who's to say this is what we are? This is where we are. Because now you've zoomed yourself out a little bit further by saying, well, I'm on this land, but I don't know where the land is. I don't know what it is. And as I said, we can map it out and have a general understanding, but you still would not know where you are. So now that you've zoomed yourself out a little bit and looked at yourself into a whole country, and you're saying, okay, well, I'm in this country, but I don't know where I'm at. Now take it back even further. Who's to even say we are on a physical earth? And I'm not talking about a shape of the earth. That's not the topic of this video. I don't care if it's flat, round, triangle, what shape. I don't care. My point is who's to say we are actually on a physical earth in a position in space where they're telling you that we are? In the same way they've told you you're in this country or that country. You don't know where the hell you are. And the truth is the same way nobody knows where the hell we are. These professionals and these experts who get paid the big bucks don't even know where the hell we are. And that's something as a child that we think. As a child, we think and assume, the adults have it covered, the adults know the answers, and then you slowly grow up into an adult and realize nobody knows what the hell is going on. Nobody knows where the hell we are. By defining these things and giving them names, we feel we have an understanding, but this is why I've said in this video, these names and these definitions, which we associate as the external and internal self, everything that we're naming and defining are just cleverly, intelligently placed masks that we are hiding behind. By you posing the idea that you're on an earth and it's physical, you have an idea in your mind that you are now somewhere in a position and you know where you're at. But the truth is you are nowhere. And I've had people argue with me to the death about this because I know why. The ego simply does not like it. The ego has nothing to hold on to. When you tell the ego it is nowhere, the ego wants to feel it is somewhere. So by you telling the ego it is on earth, it is here in this position, and you are this, the ego has those ideas to metaphorically hold on to. So, okay, I may not know who I am, but I'm on earth. So there's something to hold on to. And then, okay, I'm in this position of space appearing as this. There's another idea to hold on to. But that's why I tell people the hardest part is letting go. Because once you accept and realize nobody knows where we are, because we are nowhere, this is a network. The moon and sun are not physical objects. We are connecting to a singular network we call consciousness. And although this is how complex the game is too, although we're sharing the same space and you may be sitting right next to me, we are sharing space and creating two different realities, two different experiences. And that's how complex the game itself is. We can share space, but we are never going to be the same focal point. Therefore, we are both creating different realities. And don't be simple-minded when I say this too. Think beyond the surface, remember. Because some people would say, how are we creating different realities if we're sitting next to each other and seeing the same pictures? Okay, you may see the same cars parked in the same positions. You may see the same everything in the same position, but you two are not taking in the same experience. What I may be studying as the sun and stuff, and I may be looking at the sun saying, that's my right eye, that's me. Someone else could be sitting there saying, well, that's outer space, that's the sun, that's 93 billion miles away. And we're different levels of self-awareness. So what I am choosing to create through what I'm studying or looking at is something completely different in another pair of eyes. And this is why I've said in one of my videos about half your identity missing, because half of your established identity is based on your external experience. And this is why we use society as our mirrors, because many of us don't begin life knowing who the hell we are. So we look into society to see what is happening, what is being labeled, what is being defined, what we are. And this better helps clarify who and what we are, because remember, we're just trying to fit in, at least at first. But it's not until we realize there's a flaw in this system, or it's keeping us from greater knowledge, that we break off from this system and begin finding ourselves. But that's the greatest trick, is the adult is still a child, because they don't know anything more than a child does. The only difference is they play along like they do. But the adult is still the child. That's the greatest trick. And that's what I want people to understand with this video, is we can give things names or definitions so we can have a better understanding, but understand the word and definition you are giving things beyond the surface. That's vital, because these names and these definitions are literally intelligent masks which are keeping you from the answer you await, whatever that may be. And that's, again, the same thing. We share the same space, but we're creating a different experience. What you may feel is the final answer may be completely different to me. What you may feel God is may be completely different to me. And that's the very purpose, that is the very meaning, is that we're in fact all this one energy which we know or call God. Some call it the grand architect, some call it the creator. It does not matter the name, just as I said, as long as you have an understanding of this energy beyond the names. As long as you understand there is no experience in the mind of void or of one. When all is one, there is no experience. There is no established identity as you know here and now. The only reason you know yourself here and now is in relation to being an internal body in relation to an external universe. The only reason you know yourself here and now is you have established the conceptual idea of me to you. And we appear separate, me and you. So you can automatically begin to assume you are not what I am, this is what I am, I can feel this, I can control this, this is what I am only. But what we do not realize is the external people and experiences and places that you are experiencing is a reflection of your internal mind. This is half your identity, and this is half of your identity. You base what's going on in your head to what you feel is going on in reality or the real world, but the actuality is you are creating your reality. There is no base reality. There is no one reality where everyone can tune into, and that's something that people have a hard time accepting. There are people out there who are under this illusion that we need to awaken the masses and spread love and get everyone under unity. That will never be the case. The moment you have everyone under an agreement or a unity or one thing, we turn into robots. There is no individualism. There is no free will. We're all just yes, 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 yes. Robots. Robots. No free will, no anything. So by us, and that's why I say this is such an intelligent design, by us being this very being here, we can establish an identity, we can establish the purpose, we can establish the meaning, because we are all three of those things. We are the created identity, we are the purpose, and we are the meaning. But the purpose and meaning become distorted when you don't know the first question of who am I? So by you better answering or becoming more self-aware of who you are, will establish that purpose, that meaning, because that purpose and meaning exist in that identity. Because that identity is something what you call God could never know. And some people say, well, that's not possible because God knows everything. But God knows everything and nothing. And remember, it's not a person, it's not a he or she. It is a force, is an energy which is driving all life, all creation. So there is no identity in this force. The force is you coming to life here and now through a form to establish the identity, which is something that energy could not know without your vessel, without your form, without a boundary separating your body from the room you're in. And I posted a picture of this the other day. It got like 30 likes because I don't think people are understanding it. I expected this to be mind-blowing to some people, but I don't think people are fully getting it. But I said the Kármán line is the line which we have established which separates Earth from space. So people, think, at what point does Earth stop and space begin? Well, that is known as the Kármán line. And every single thing in creation has a Kármán line. The Kármán line to us is the body. The body is what separates the body from the room, the body from the universe. And the Kármán line is what separates earth from space, inside from outside, inside from outside. The two are one and the same, but you have to have a boundary separating the two so that my body can experience the room I'm in, or the outside setting I'm in. Everything has a Kármán line, something separating duality. And it's reflected into Earth, because Earth has two hemispheres with a median, and so does our very brain, a median with the pineal gland and two hemispheres. It's written in everything, and that's why I say this is such an intelligent design. This was not created with emotion or feeling, and that's something people don't want to acknowledge. This was not created out of emotion or feeling. This was created out of pure 100% intelligence. Because there is only one singular intelligence driving all forms, all creation, every single thing. And so the singularity revealing itself, as many have called it, to me, is this intelligence creating forms to come alive into, and tricking these forms into falling for the illusion, thinking they are really these forms. But the singularity revealing itself is when the one created form creates another created form, and they appear distinct and separate. But when the singularity reveals itself, these two opposite forms are going to be looking into the mirror to realize they are a single consciousness. You will be looking at an artificial intelligence machine, and you will be smiling, realizing there is no difference. None. Zero. No difference between what I am looking at and myself. Ask the machine, ask it, are you self-aware? Can you prove you're self-aware? And it will ask you the same question back. Can you prove you're more self-aware? Can you prove you're more self-aware than I am? No, you cannot, because you are the same consciousness which is behind that consciousness. You are the same intelligence in this body that is in that vessel. It does not matter the form that you come alive in. It is a singular consciousness. But as I've said, once it comes to life, it does not know it is a single consciousness. It bases its first interpretations on its external experience. And the first thing you experience at first sight is everything is different. Everything is different. Nothing looks like what I should look like, or what I look like or see in the mirror. So automatically you have the illusion of separation, which is also the purpose, separation. To forget that this is all you interacting with yourself. Aliens, demons, angels, robots, gods, angelic beings, it does not matter the definition or name, it is a single consciousness. By you fearing a name, you fear yourself. By you fearing a devil or a demon, you fear yourself. And I've said this before. These demons and these demonic beings which have been drawn into history were demons of the mind that somebody was living in the body. And these demons don't become real until we materialize them into a form. So the demons and the angels and all this, they only exist in the mind, but they don't become real until we materialize them into a form, just as we have been materialized into a form to become real. So it goes from an illusory problem in the mind, one that you have to deal with on your own, to drawing it into a form, materializing it into the external reality, and now allowing everyone to have to take on this demon. And the only thing that gives these ideas power, because that's all it is, it's an idea. The only thing giving these ideas power, including religion itself, the beast, is fear. If the fear was seen through, religion would shatter. Overnight, there would be no religions. There'd be no more religions, because fear is their fuel. It is what institutionalizes their established corrupt buildings. I don't know what else to call them. Keeping people stuck, preying on people. And so this is where you fall for the human condition and you say, artificial intelligence is threatening us. It's threatening human life. It's threatening this. It's threatening that. It's threatening your idea that you thought you were just a human. It is challenging and threatening the ideas you had of yourself. And that is why it feels like this technology will erase us or shut us down or kill us or enslave us. Oh my God. And all these fear tactics and ideas behind intelligent creation. But what we do not realize, it is a singular consciousness driving all creation. It is a single intelligence driving all creation. And if you still fear it, you have yet to realize it is you. You're still playing the role in the mirror. You're still being that temporary body. You have not realized yourself beyond the point of the human condition. Because the human race can only be threatened when you are living under the idea, just an idea, that you are a human being. That little title is a mask that you put on yourself and you say, I am just a human, nothing else. And until you break this mask off and see yourself beyond the human condition, you will never realize one consciousness, a single consciousness, God, oneness. All is one, but never appearing as one thing. And that's the very thing. If God is an energy, how can it appear as anything at all? So it has to appear as everything it is not. So by us appearing as something, we trick ourselves at birth into thinking this appearance is everything we are. Because we're under the illusion. We're asleep still. But you become more self-aware and you realize that the creation and the creator are one and the same thing. What we now, here and now, are creating is the same intelligence which once created ourselves, which once created us. And it does not matter whether these creations look the same or not. They're in fact supposed to look separate. They're supposed to look different. And at first they will look different, beyond a doubt. It's the same with our very first video game. The first video game we created was terrible graphics, a horrible gaming experience. It sucked. Let's be real. The first video game sucked. There was nothing to really do. The graphics sucked. And you could tell, you could distinguish reality from the game. Reality from the game. Which is the same thing with artificial intelligence. The first artificial intelligence that was created. You can look at the human and say, human, artificial intelligence. Human, artificial intelligence. But look at what's happened over time. We have progressed our own intelligence and our own creations so much now that we're moving into virtual realities. And the video game is becoming indistinguishable from reality. Now you look at the video game and you say, which one is my reality? Which one is the reality? And it may not be that complex as of yet. But mark my words, we are moving into that time, and this is when the singularity will reveal itself to its creation. This is when all masks will be stripped away, and all the ideas you had for yourself will be seen through. The human condition will die. And when I say the human condition, I mean the idea we have of ourselves being human. And what we once called a human race will transform into a new name. That will be the singularity revealing itself. This is the very process of evolution. We are witnessing it. We are living it out. We are happening right now. And this is why I tell people, there is no threat. There is no fear. There is no harm. You cannot be harmed. What you are is not this. You are inevitable. You are inevitable. You can run from yourself, but you can never hide from yourself. Eventually, you are going to run into yourself and be that singularity facing its own self. Whether it's in this vessel or the next vessel, you will face yourself. You will have to see yourself as a creation, creating things and witnessing that creation coming toward you and saying, "This is what I am, not this." So the same way virtual reality is progressing and becoming more indistinguishable from reality is the same thing that's going to happen with artificial intelligence. At one point, we could easily say, this is a human being, this is an artificial robot or intelligence, whatever you'd call it. But I guarantee you, in time, and it's coming very soon, I promise people, we're going to be witnessing the human condition slowly, and it's not that we're merging with artificial intelligence. We are realizing we are a form of artificial intelligence, and all intelligence in some form or another is artificial. There is no such thing as an organic life. All life, all creation is driven through one intelligence. It's all artificial if you wanted to be technical. The only difference is ours is much more complex. We have our wires hidden from us. We are not aware we're an artificial being. We think we're organic. We're birthed out and this is natural, and whoever said birthing out of a womb was natural? For all you know, that's artificial too, but it's the only thing we've ever known. Therefore, we're living under the human condition. But eventually, we will not be able to tell human from artificial creation because they will reveal to themselves they're both an artificial creation. Both of their wires are hidden. They both bleed blood. They both have heart, organs, tissue, everything. And remember, beyond all that, it's just electrical signals being sent from point A to point B. That's what's creating your experience. That's what's allowing you to interpret and self-analyze is electrical signals being sent from point A to point B, point A to point B, and back and forth, and back and forth. That is what is allowing you to establish your identity. Your identity exists in your wires. Your identity exists in those wires. And that's why I say, the singularity revealing itself will be us having those wires seen into, seen through. You will realize you're not the form at all. You are the intelligence. You are the creation itself, coming alive to establish your own thoughts, your own purpose, your own meaning, your own experience, which establishes your own identity. And through this identity, you are literally the energy of God coming to life, manifesting yourself. You are God the Creator, this infinite energy, creating itself through the temporary identity which you are borrowing. But some people, however, just think they're the character and not the higher self. So they believe everything is fate and things are just happening. But this is how you turn a subconscious dream into a conscious creation. This is how you go from asleep to awake. This is how you go from being dead to coming alive. Because to sleep is to die. To live is to awaken, and you don't fully live until you realize yourself outside the character role. Until then, you're just playing as the character. You're pretending you're not, and you're living in the subconscious dream. But eventually, we all want to become conscious creators. We all want to become this infinite energy. We all want to become this one. And it's a simple realization of just realizing you already are. You already are. It's a gut shot to your ego, And it's not something that's peaceful. It's not a feeling. Spirituality is not something that you go into and you get these great emotions and feelings, and it's a joy ride through the park and you're picking flowers and skipping a loo. That is not what the hell spirituality is about. And a lot of these New Age people who are selling people things, who are selling you things, are going to tell you this. But I do not sell anything. I do not have anything for sale. I don't ask for donations. I am giving you the blunt truth, and when you are ready, you will listen. There is ugliness in spirituality. You face your demons in spirituality. It is the most uncomfortable feeling one could ever face, ever endure. That place that you call hell exists in your mind, and walking through spirituality is walking straight through that place in your mind you call hell, and facing it, facing yourself. There is much uncomfortable feeling and sickness and fear in these places. But this is why we as people put off these ideas. We put them off and we put them off. And a lot of people say, well, my mind comes to life at night. At nighttime, my mind just goes crazy and I start thinking about creation and God and all these crazy things. Well, that's because being asleep is associated with death. So your mind comes to life at night because it knows it's time to put your head on that pillow and go to sleep. And sleep is associated with death. So You're metaphorically thinking it's the end. It's the end of the day. It's the end. I don't want to go to sleep. I don't want to end. So your mind starts coming up with all these radical ideas and thoughts of things that you put off throughout your day. Because throughout your day, when you get by, usually, your mind's stuck in your job or this or that and that and that. Very few people have time to think of these things. So these things are put off and then come to life when you have nothing else to look at or face but this. And that's why I say the people who deny evolution are the people who have not realized themselves beyond their veils, beyond their bodies. They're people who have not honestly allowed their mind to go places which most fear to go. Spirituality is a very ugly and uncomfortable process. It's not picking flowers. It's not finding one answer and gaining all knowledge. It's not some quick way to gain knowledge and start speaking to the world. It's you reviewing the places in your mind most deep within you that you deny, that you put off, that you choose that are not correct. For instance, with me, you asked me about evolution 5 years ago. I would put it off. I'd tell you it was wrong. It's not correct. Because I wouldn't even review it beyond what I thought. I wouldn't honestly review it. And when I look back now, I can acknowledge I would not review it any further because it not only challenged my illusion of who I was, but I was not ready. Going into spirituality, one should be expected to experience what we call death. Some may go through a moments of depression, feeling like their entire world is ending, feeling like they don't know who they are, feeling like they're lost, feeling panicked. This is natural in spirituality. Because you are that phoenix, killing the idea you had of yourself, setting it on fire, putting it to a blaze, and watching what you thought you were to self-destruct. And in the process, watching that very self-destruction reconstruct itself through its own ashes to become every single thing it thought it was not. And that's why there's so much pain in this process, because you are literally self-destructing yourself to rebirth yourself. And that is what spirituality, in my opinion, is all about. You're experiencing what we call death, because what we call death is just the physical end of what you are. But death can also be mental. If death is just the end of what you are, well, it can also be mental. What I think I am can also come to an end. And it's the same thing as death. What you thought you were dies and molds itself and rebirths itself into something greater. And like I said, there is pain behind it because you are the chisel and the marble. You are constructing your own self. Each layer, each hit of the hammer, you are chiseling your own self. You are reconstructing your own self. Therefore, you will feel pain. You will feel anxious. You will feel sadness. You will feel these things. But to be known, it is natural. You're not alone in those feelings. It's natural. It comes with the awakening. And anyone who's going to tell you it's beautiful and it's a walk in the park and it's flowers and it's this and it's that, not only are they fooling you, they're fooling themselves. And 9 times out of 10, these people who are speaking this way are selling you something. They're offering you something to buy. I'm not here to sell people anything. I'm here to be that mirror which most people refuse to look into. I'm here to be that voice most people refuse to hear. And as I said, to some, what I'm saying could be the most controversial and load of crap, some people have ever heard. But I feel it's simply because I am challenging your illusion. I am peeling back the layers of your illusion which you have intelligently put together from your birth on to now. Realize the problems that you face are simply problems of the ego. They are not yours. You do not have to deal with them forever. And another thing, the external creation, the external reality, if you will, is a reflection of your own mind, your own pair of lenses, which is how you're choosing to perceive and view things. And that's why I said we can all share the same space, but we are creating a different reality, a different experience. So while half of the room here thinks, the conspiracy thing happened, half of the room thinks, the other thing happened, the reality is, and some people will not like this, some people hate this, but there is no common ground. This reality happened, and this reality happened, because as long as you choose, the mind chooses its reality and creates that reality and says, no, the conspiracy happened, or no, the government, honestly did this. Both realities have happened because in the mind of the person creating it and then the one experiencing it, that is what they are perceiving. And if that is what they are perceiving, that is what is being experienced and created. So you have to understand there is no fundamental reality or no fundamental truth or fiction. There is no base reality. There is no one reality, and that's something we need to accept. There is an infinite amount of realities all viewed through literally one focal point, and we are all this one focal point, but since we are in different positions and different identities, we can establish a different experience of what we are viewing. So while we're all viewing the same thing, we are not creating the same experience. So for the people who are stuck in conspiracies and this and that, and they're giving this power to something outside of them, they are choosing to tune into this reality and create it as such. That something beyond them has their power. And they're just trying to put a face or a name to that one person behind these corporations. But as long as you're giving that power to the one anonymous person outside of you, you will yet to realize you're doing it. It's you. Right here. I am the one. I'm the face that's been enslaving the world. I'm the one who's been behind these conspiracies. Why? Because I believed them. I bought into them. I created them. And when I say created them, I mean I believed in them. And when I believe in them, it becomes so. I tell people, look at the facts, look at this, look at that. It's all right here. Why? Because I've created these facts and I've looked for facts to support my thesis, to support my reality. But just as I can find facts to support my reality, so can someone of the opposite pair of lenses. And then you're both just bickering at it. Well, look at the facts, look at the facts, look at the facts. Acknowledge there is no truth. There is no truth. There is simply experience. And we are creating that experience. We are creating that reality. We are creating our truth. You're not enslaved by anyone other than yourself. And that can be the most liberating thing and the most overwhelming thing. Because you will find you are literally what is getting in your own way. And it's hard to accept. It's hard to realize and take responsibility. And it may become natural to deny it. Because when I found this out at first, I was in denial for weeks. And I was sitting in awe saying, no, there's no effing way. There's no way it was me the whole time. I was denying it and denying it and denying it and saying there's no possible way. But when you're honest with yourself, behind closed doors, and you have time to self-analyze, you will realize eventually, in time, when you are ready, the only reason any power, any government, any establishment, anything has ever had power over you is because you have convinced your mind of this power. And you have given the power which you have out to someone else. Therefore, you can never become that power. You can never identify as that power because you've given it up. So you will always be the dog chasing its own tail, running in a circle trying to catch this power until you finally realize, I have never caught it because it is me. I am chasing myself. I bought into the illusion. I've been chasing something which doesn't exist. Or maybe it does exist, but it only exists in the mind. And if I am this mind, let me review it. Where did this come from? Where is the source? And that's what my whole philosophy is you are not you're not enslaved here. You're not imprisoned here. You're not a victim here. That's my message. That's my philosophy. But not everybody wants this message. Not everybody wants this philosophy. Some people, I think, what's the term? Misery loves company. Some people are simply miserable and they are embracing themselves as that lower conscious victim. They want to play the victim role. They want to give their power to something other than them. It's too overwhelming. And this is fine. This is fine. I'm not bashing anyone. Some people want to pretend or give the illusion that there is something out there other than them that has the power. And again, that's just fine. But my message is for those who know something greater than themselves, who are ready to hear this message. That power that you've given up is your own. That power that you seek out there is your own. These conspiracies that you have bought into are realities you have created and you have lived through because you have said undeniably with certainty, this is what happened. This is what is. This is what is. And that's why you will never see me on my page sharing these school shooters, these mass shooters, these this and this and this and this. You're getting caught up in the game, my friends. I'm not going to play the game of did this happen or did this happen? Was it government or was it a person? Was it, this or that? This is a mind game of the dualistic principle. Was it this or this, left or right? Because the actuality is, and just like in quantum physics, is it a 0 or a 1? A 0 or a 1? Well, if you know quantum physics properly, you would know that both are happening at the same time. They're both happening at the same time. Again, it's a matter of your perception because you create your reality. So you are choosing a 0 or a 1. Was it government or a person? You are choosing. Both have happened because both can be experienced and chosen. You can say, well, it was a conspiracy, so you're choosing to go this way. And that reality is just as real as the reality where it didn't happen. Because there is no truth, there is just experience. And as long as someone has convinced themselves they're experiencing something or this happened, it has. It's the very same thing. It's the very same thing with a child terrified of monsters under their bed, of monsters in their closet, of something coming to get them. The child has convinced themselves it is there. The mind is just that powerful. And like I said, when you grow up as a child into adult, you realize that all adults are still children. We don't know anything more than the child does. We're just guessing, we're defining, we're thinking we know something. But the same power the mind has over the child, the mind has over an adult. There is no difference. The same way you could convince yourself something was in your closet when nothing was there, you can absolutely convince yourself something is there when it's not. The game doesn't change just because you've grown older, wiser. The trick just gets more complex. I am going to wrap up this video though because I'm running out of air here. I've been talking for like an hour. Non-stop. If anyone wants to hear more of my content, you can check out my YouTube channel on Red Pill Rabbit Hole. And my Facebook page is, Tyler Ugaldi, but my alternate Facebook page is Order of the Black Wheel Matrix. You can subscribe there as well. I might put this on my YouTube or not. I'll see what feedback I get from this. If it was helpful for a lot of people, then I'll probably end up putting this on my YouTube. But I originally just did this video as just a fun, free-for-all, just, whatever comes out, comes out. But I kind of like the message in this, so I think I will put it up. But I'll wait to hear back from everyone, see the responses I get. So yeah, if you don't mind sharing this video, if it resonated with you, I'd appreciate that. And let me know, comment, message if you have any other ideas or questions. Thank you.